You are an extremely competitive person. If people don't know on the podcast, that's your nature. So when you started swimming, why do you think you started to like swimming? Was it because there was instantly a competitive element to it? Or why did you actually like it? Why didn't you, like, for example, softball, you moved on from softball despite the accolades. and then you moved to swimming. So why? Why swimming? Why do you think it caught you?
Honestly, it had less to do with the competitive side of it and more to do with just intrinsically loving being in the water. That path to me really, really resonated. And I think, as we know with sport, sport can be an analogy for many other pathways in life, whether that's music or art. And even within sport, there are many different sports, and it's a form of self-expression, self-discovery, and growth. But for me, I loved being in the water. I really, really loved it. And I loved the challenges. So the types of challenges that come with swimming are the types of challenges one would face in other sports too. So I like the combination of the two, but I really, truly, intrinsically had a love for swimming when I started. And I think that was the thing that really fired me from day one. And it was what sustained me for a very long time. Not forever, but a very long time, and we'll get to that.
Yeah. So was competition at odds with that? Because that's a really common thing that we see with athletes that pursue their passion into a single sport, and they continue to focus, and they get very years down that rabbit hole. And competition exists at odds to their love for the sport and for enjoying it. So did competition at that point, as a kid, as 10-year-old kid, did that augment your love for the sport? Or was it a different aspect that was kind of like a black and white, Jekyll and Hyde sort of relationship?
100% augmented it. 100%, not even a question. At that point in my life, it was, like I said, our coaches in that program, they put love of sport first. And one of the things that they understood really well at the time, which has taken me many decades to come back around and understand more clearly from a personal experience, is motivation is genuinely intrinsic. Especially when you find something that resonates with you and something that opens a path of growth and discovery before you, if you don't get in the way of your intrinsic motivation, it's there for you. And it's one of those things where if you steward it appropriately, that fire will keep burning bright. And so our coaches at that time were really good about cultivating love of sport, love of swimming first, and then building on that as the foundation for, okay, how do you improve? How do you get better? How do you learn how to compete? How do you learn how to handle competition? So all of those challenges that were associated with being competitive, they also resonated with me because I'm a competitive person. But really, it was so much an extension of the love of the sport to begin with. And I feel so fortunate that was my introduction to sport, because I can't think of a better way of getting into it.
Did they do specific things to help you stay on track to that true north of loving the sport? When looking back, maybe in that moment you didn't realize it, but looking back, perhaps there were moments where you were drifting away from the love of sport and more toward that very focused, regimented competition aspect. Did they do anything specific that you can remember that was like making drills fun or giving you time off and letting you focus on something else? Or I don't know. Did they do anything that helped you maintain the love of sport in particular?
Yes, 100%. And woven throughout, and not, and I would say more proactively than reactively. So they wove in fun and enjoyment. So we worked hard. If anybody out there is listening and you've been a swimmer or a swimmer, swimmers work really hard. So we, as I grew and I started training more and my training load came up and I got more serious, they helped guide me through that process. But throughout, we always had goofy fun stuff. We'd take a day off here and there just to play water games, sharks and minnows, or we would, one of my favorites was, as later on when I was doing early morning practices, every once in a while, they'd throw a challenge at us, do 1 mile for time all out. And, if everybody can hit their goal time, we're going to go out to breakfast. And so it was weaving these fun, surprising elements of joy in building out the social camaraderie and building a really genuine network of support within the team, so that, I mean, I couldn't wait to go to practice every day. It was the most fun part of my day. And that wasn't to say that I went there to screw around and just, tell jokes and have a good time, but I loved the people who were there. They were my people. I couldn't wait to go see them and spend time with them. And I couldn't wait to go just work my tail off. I loved that part of it. And so they were really good about connecting with each individual athlete and understanding what that athlete's challenges were and meeting those challenges. So, they'd talk to us individually between sets or during a set or between swims. And they learned really well how to communicate with us on an individual basis, but also how to build a sense of group support and teach us how to support each other. And then also just the fun element. So we would do fun things like go up to, being in Reno, we could go up to Lake Tahoe and do some open water swimming for fun. And we did team outings and we had game days. And I think they had a really good read on, okay, these kids have been working hard for a long time. Let's throw something in here to mix it up and keep it fun. And I want to be careful about how I word that, because they had a really beautiful way of making the hard days fun too. They were hard. And like I said, we worked really hard, but they helped us learn that there's beauty in that effort and how to experience and feel really fulfilled by giving 100%. And learning how to give 100%. That was one of my really big early lessons. Was I did not know how to do that for a long time.
Yeah. So this feels like a coaching environment, an environment where an athlete can grow, where they're more dependent upon self-fulfillment rather than pleasing the coaches. Would that be an accurate assessment as well?
100%. Yeah.
What do you think they did to help that happen? Because and I'm thinking of this for people that are listening that have kids that are going through junior cycling programs, which is really common these days in the United States. Or if you are one of those kids going through that, or parents listening to this, future parents as you are right now, because that's a hard thing to do. What did they do to make you feel satisfied with yourself, and rather than being concerned with satisfying them?
That's a really good question. Well, I will say they had an advantage in the fact that they were clinical psychologists. So they had some well-grounded, evidence-based training. They themselves were parents. They themselves were former athletes. So they had a lot of perspectives to bring to the table. And later, after I was no longer a part of the program because I'd grown out of it, one of my coaches actually did her PhD research on adolescent development and was looking at the roles, kind of the triangle of roles where you have parents, coach, and peers, and the athletes in the middle. And one of the things that she found in her research was the athlete's sense of self-efficacy and self-esteem had less to do with whether or not they were getting positive or negative feedback, but more to do with whether that feedback was consistent from those three sources and authentic. And so it's really important, I think, for coaches to know their role, parents to know their role. And the coach's role is to give that objective, authentic feedback and build trust with the athlete. And what I mean by that is, if you're just being positive thinking with an athlete and you're saying everything's great and sunshine and rainbows and puffy clouds and you're awesome, the athlete's going to know. Like even as a 10-year-old, I knew when I didn't have a good swim. I knew when something was off, but I also knew that my coaches believed in me regardless of the swim, so I guess that would be one of the big things that they really did, was they differentiated between the person and the results, the outcomes, the actions, the behaviors. So they believed in me as a person, and they could still say, hey, I believe in you as a person. We both know that swim was not what we know we can expect from you. And then I can trust them to be my ally in helping me figure out why and come back and work on the thing that went wrong, and to understand that things can go wrong and I'm still okay and I'm still worthy of their belief in me. and we can work together on that. And then the parent's role is different because the parent is not there to give that objective feedback. They're not the coach. They're not the expert. But the parent's role is really more weighted towards that unconditional love and acceptance. So I know my parents love me no matter what my results are. You know, my parents might be disappointed if they see me disappointed, but they're more just sad for me being sad, not because of my swim. Like they really couldn't, they're excited about the swimming insofar as it brings me joy, not because it's something of intrinsic value to them. My joy is the thing that's worthy to them. And I think that that was a really important distinction. So I think that I was really lucky in that my parents saw their roles really clearly. A lot of swimmers, I mean, it's grueling. You're doing double days. You're doing really early morning workouts. You're working out on the weekends. You're driving to swim meets all the time. My parents never applied an ounce of pressure to me. All of that came from me. And they just stepped back and let my coaches be the ones who were working with me on, was it good? Was it bad? In terms of my performance, what is it that we need to work on? I think the way my mom put it one time was, yeah, I would just wait to see if you were smiling when you got out of the pool. And if you were smiling, I was smiling. If you weren't smiling, then I just figured maybe we need to go get some ice cream after.
That's a good mom right there.
Yeah, it was really great. Like my parents were involved enough to show that they cared. They cared about it because I cared. And that was really nice. Like they came to the meets. They volunteered to do timing. Any swim parents out there, I feel your pain. It's a lot. But they never, they never overstepped that bound. And that was huge because that helped me feel a sense of autonomy and that this was my thing and it could be my thing. And I wasn't going to lose anybody's love or affection. I wasn't going to lose anybody's respect. But I could immerse myself in this thing and be safe in that sense that I wasn't there in order to feel loved or accepted. I was there because I wanted to be there. And that's really powerful and important. And I don't think I really understood that on a conscious level until many, many years later, but it certainly made a difference.
If you like this video, make sure you give us a thumbs up.
If you didn't like this video, you can give it a thumbs down, but let us know what you would have done differently in the comments below.
If you want to see more of these videos, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you want to become a faster cyclist, check out TrainerRoad.com.
Do it.